All right, she made DJ Gatsby, founded DJ Gatsby Book Club, and also Books in the Hood. We're here to set the story straight, man. We're back for 2022. Kind of on a hiatus in 2021. Big shout out to everybody that kept posting to the page, the Facebook page group. Everybody that's still hitting the Books in the Hood page, the Who's Who in African American Lit page, and you know the other books that I'm an administrator for. I want to say condolences to a couple of authors that we lost since the last time you heard from me. One of my favorite authors, and she was a DJ Gatsby Book Club award winner, Miss Monica Mathis Stowe. One of the first books that we came in contact with her with was Where Did We Go Wrong? Fantastic book about three beautiful young ladies who got themselves in a certain predicament and circumstances that caused a tragic ending. And it actually won DJ Gatsby's Book Club award. I forget which award it was, but prayers and condolences go out to the family of Monica Mathis Stowe, also to the readers who really liked her books and really liked her as a person. She actually came to the launch party for the DJ Gatsby show when I had my launch party in DC with Kitty Jones. Monica Mathis Stowe was one of the very first authors that showed up to kind of congratulate me. Big shout to her husband and her son that she left behind when she passed. But anyway, man, all love and respect to DJ Gatsby's Book Club, to Monica Mathis Stowe. Please go check her books out at Amazon on Kindle and paperback. Again, much love and condolences to my sister. All right, we're going to keep it pushing, man. We got another person that is no longer with us. A Miss Glynda Gamble Linton from Plantation, Florida. The title of her book is Shoes on the Wrong Foot. Another talented young lady and an activist, supporter of the labor movement, worked with the AFL-CIO down at Plantation, gone way too soon. Her book was also an award-winning book with DJ Gatsby's Book Club. I had a chance to meet her, interviewed her on the talk show in DC, and was a long-time friend of hers. Her passing really hit me hard for a lot of personal reasons. We're not going to go into that. But we love you, Glynda. We love your book, Shoes on the Wrong Foot. Condolences go out to your family, your sons, and the host of nieces and nephews and sisters that supported you, and also that whole team at the AFL-CIO offices in Plantation, as well as the people that you work with in the A. Philip Randolph Foundation. Once again, it's DJ Gatsby. We're back with DJ Gatsby's Book Club, Books in the Hood. This is our blog. This is our video. We're going to be hollering at y'all every week, giving you updates on all the books and all the authors that we have worked with in the past and the ones we look to work with in the future. We'll be back with another segment in just a few minutes. Hey, we're back with another segment of DJ Gatsby's Book Club, man, sponsored by Who's Who in African American Literature, as well as WB Media Group and WBMG TV. The book we're going to talk about right now is called My Own Worst Enemy, A Black Man's American Stories by author Ishmael R. Brown. Very talented and articulate young man that I had the pleasure of meeting in Harlem, I think about 2017 or 18. I actually interviewed him the night before he was attending a literary event in Harlem. The title of the book is My Own Worst Enemy, A Black Man's American Story. Poignant book, takes a look at the black man from a person's perspective on how he is responsible for a lot of the things that happened in his life living as a black man in America. I'm going to read the synopsis or a portion of it. I invite you to experience the age. Wow, hold on a second. I invite you to experience the ups and downs of a young man looking to discover himself despite all of the challenges he's up against. He learns how to overcome societal stereotypes as a black man in America, all while assuming responsibility and ownership for the countless relationships he's damaged, and more importantly, forgive himself along the way. This powerful piece of literature was written from a place of pain and immeasurable remorse from the wounds inflicted throughout the life of this author. Ishmael takes his time to address a lot of issues that are prominent amongst young blacks in America, from lack of male role models, mass incarcerations, and ability to demonstrate or express love. This synopsis goes on to give you an inside look on black men, the problems they have, the abuse, racism, and disrespect that they're subjected to, and how one man accepts his own responsibility by admitting at the end of the day he's his own worst enemy. Synopsis goes on to say, take the time to look inward to evaluate your own mistakes before considering to blame others. It is a grave blunder to teach boys not to cry or show emotion. The lack of emotional awareness builds a ticking time bomb that is just waiting to implode. He's talking about raising young black men. And this goes to the men and the women and the community, more so the village, who allows a lot of devastating activities to take place in black neighborhoods which affect young black men. And, at another time, we'll talk about books who deal with the effects of black women growing up in the neighborhoods and the things that we allow to happen to our sisters. It goes on to say, love and forgive yourself no matter what ill-advised choices you make in life. It's all a part of your journey. In the beginning, there is the plan. In the end, there is the promise. But in between lies the process of life. Enjoy it and try to have effective communications in all of your relationships, because children need a father in their lives, regardless of the sex of the child, statistics and odds or representations of recorded audiences. They are not the determining factor by the majority. Defy them daily by improving on your tomorrow with the lessons of yesterday. And then that's the synopsis from My Own Worst Enemy by my good friend Ishmael R. Brown. It's a black man's American story. One of the books that is featured in DJ Gatsby Book Club. I also had the opportunity to interview this brother, as I said in the beginning of the segment, in Harlem at a private interview that was set up by one of the sponsors of the book event that he actually spoke at. So big shout out to Ishmael R. Brown. Look for him on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also on DJ Gatsby Book Club and the DJ Gatsby Show with the exclusive television interview that I had with him. This next young brother is a very talented poet and spoken word artist. I had the pleasure of meeting him at a poetry slam sponsored by myself, along with spoken word artist Quantum Moore, called a poetry slam. I believe it was in Nyack, New York. I'm not sure. But at any rate, title of the book is The Nigger Chronicles, The Mispronunciation of Who I Am. Words of William, written by William Washington, a.k.a. Words of William. Very, very outspoken young brother. I enjoyed my talks with him as he explained the purpose and the meaning and the concept behind the book, The Nigger Chronicles. A lot of people don't like the word, don't like to see it used. I think it's very demeaning and degrading. But this is a book of poetry and spoken word pieces that will tie together his understanding of the word, hence the title, The Nigger Chronicles. Now, William Washington is a New York City street preacher. He's a counselor, he's a poet, spoken word artist, motivational speaker. He's an all-around, just go-getter, purveyor of knowledge. He's quick to share that wisdom and understanding at any point, any time, anywhere, at any chance that he gets, man. He's a dedicated father of three, came from a broken home, never knowing his dad. Educationally, he possesses only a GED, yet his mind has always been that of a learned man. And what that means is that he's got street knowledge. He's got knowledge from life experiences. He's got knowledge from everybody he's ever met and everybody he's ever spoken to. Anything he's ever seen and heard. So despite the fact that he never graduated high school and possesses only a GED, I found him to be one of the most intelligent, articulate black men that I have never met. He goes on to say, The sickness and emotional scars he suffered throughout his early years made him guarded and insecure. He's the oldest of 5 brothers, so he had to wear masks void of fear. It was inside that he shed his tears. Writing this offering was his therapy, his cry for help. The Nickel Chronicles will explain in detail what he means by the words in this synopsis. So a big shout to my man William Washington. Again, man, thanks for the book. Thanks for allowing us all the opportunity to hear your spoken word pieces as well as your poetry that's in this book. Once again, it's DJ Gatsby, man. We talking about the authors featured on DJ Gatsby's Book Club and Who's Who in African American Literature Facebook pages and groups, as well as the authors that I've interviewed for my TV show, where the footage is on YouTube. For those who don't know, I actually am a certified television producer in digital and media arts. I obtained it at the College of Southern Maryland, where I went on for 3 years to produce a public access television show that's aired on Comcast and Verizon in that area. So big shout out to everybody who's ever been on my TV show when I was in DC, ones who came online via Zoom, StreamYard, the other streaming platforms, to allow me to interview them and continue my support of African American authors, writers, and publishers in the book business. Once again, it's your man DJ Gatsby. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check out our books. Check out our book reviews. As always, buy, read, and review all the books that we feature, because that's the best way to support African American literature. So once again, man, that ends it for this segment. We're going to come back, and we have a couple of more books that we're going to do, man. It's DJ Gatsby. Peace. Hey, what's up, all my avid readers and artists and publishers out there? It's another segment of the Who's Who in African American Lit series that we put together for DJ Gatsby's Book Club and the Book in the Hood Facebook groups. Who's Who in African American Lit is not only a Facebook page, it's also a book by the same name, and soon to be a documentary produced by myself, WB Media, Music, and Television. Now, today we're going to talk about a good friend of mine. She's from California, talented author, ghostwriter, and just a darling to all who know her. She's a fashion icon. One of the most beautiful women I've met in this book game. And her name is Miss Kennedee Devoe. Now, Kennedee is the author of Amazon bestsellers Two Wrongs Don't Make a Right, It Makes Us Even, With Friends Like These Who Need Enemies, Just Can't Do Right, an instructional book called I Am Writing a Book, Now What? And the book that we're going to talk about today, Why Does Love Hate Me? She's CEO and president of Devoe Publications. She also works in the nonprofit sector as a program director. She has an associate's degree in early childhood studies, a bachelor's degree in business management, and a master's degree in human services. She hails from Carson, California, and currently resides in the Los Angeles area. As I said, she's been a good friend of mine, a good friend to this show. She's been on the talk show with DJ Gatsby various occasions, Blog Talk radio show. I've actually promoted and or read all of her books. She's been very generous in that way, making sure DJ Gatsby's Book Club, Books in the Hood, and Who's Who in African American Literature reviewers always had access to her books, and she's very generous in sharing her time and her work with me and the groups that I represent. Staunch supporter, DJ Gatsby and the talk show, man, and I just really can't say enough about Miss Kennedee Devoe. I actually was supposed to meet her in New York at the Harlem Book Fair one year when I was living down in the DMV area, around Maryland area. But nevertheless, we became good friends and supported each other in so many ways. The book that we're talking about today, Why Does Love Hate Me? It's a strange title. And I discussed that with her. But hey, listen, if you read the book, you'll see why she says that about these fictional characters that she constantly writes about. Two wrongs don't make it right. It makes us even. And again, just can't do right. And all these other books, man, are relationship books with a twist. And she's made quite a reputation, writing these books, spending time with book clubs. She's at book readings, book signings. She's very, very available. Very prominent on social media, Facebook and Instagram. This current book, the one we talk about here, the main character's name is Queen Dupree. Now, Queen Dupree has been lucky in everything else but love. One failed relationship after another. She continues to believe that love hates her, and maybe it's just not in the cards for her. Then she meets Jamari. And the question is, will love finally deal Queen Dupree a fair hand, or will she end up with another joker? Again, talented Kennedy Devoe, one of her many books, and I encourage you, if you love fiction, fictional romance, love stories, please check out Miss Kennedy Devoe. Visit her website, www.kddevoe.com, and hit her up on Instagram or Facebook. She loves to chat, she loves to talk, and is very, very friendly. We love her at DJ Gatsby Book Club, as well as Books in the Hood, man. So big shout out to Kennedy Devoe. We had to feature this book. It's only one I could get a hold of just in time to do this show. So Kennedy, we love you. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Next, we have a book that was published by my publishing company, WBMG Publishing. It's written by a childhood friend of mine. We grew up together. I've known him since I was, early teens. He was a good friend of the family. He grew up, in Spring Valley, New York. He was a childhood singer. He was in a singing group called Brothers and Friends. Him and his brother, as well as two friends, formed a group called Brothers and Friends. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about George Naim Cash. Good friend of mine, man. Good friend of the family. We DJ'd together. He was part of the crew that we had. Again, he was a part of a group called Brothers and Friends. Him and his brother Mike Cash, as well as two other brothers, Keith and Curtis Hamilton. Peace go out to them. They passed away recently, so rest in peace, Keith and Curtis, man. And we miss you, my brothers. And it's been a pleasure knowing you. And condolences go out to your families. But back to George Naim Cash. He had a troubled life. At times it was a charmed life. But he writes about his experiences in the criminal justice system in New York State. It starts off with another book that he had written, The Good and the Bad. These books are spin-offs from his story that's based on his life. The prison life is one of my favorites because it tells you about a life in a world that many of us will never experience or never ever see. But at the same time, this story rings true to all our brothers and sisters that have been incarcerated at some point in time in their lives. And it chronicles some of the things you will see, hear, and experience while in the criminal justice system. Or, penitentiaries and jails in New York State. Again, it's called Prison Life, from best-selling author of The Good and the Bad, George Naim Cash. Prison life is something many of us will never experience, and hope and pray that they never will have to. But for convicted felons, their friends and families, those who have been to prison, this book will shed some light on the very real situations that prison inmates encounter every day. The Prison Life is the first book in a series of books dedicated to taking you inside the walls of maximum security prisons such as Sing Sing, Green Haven, and other notorious maximum security prisons in New York State. The series is a spin-off, as I mentioned earlier, from the book Good and the Bad by the author George Naim Cash, and is centered around his life after he was sentenced to prison for gun, drug possession, as well as bank robbery. George Naim Cash is an inspiring singer and musician till to this day. Composer who plays about 5 different instruments, writes, arranges, produces, and records all of his tunes. His books are available on Amazon and paperback and Kindle. His music is also available on streaming services. So once again, man, WBMG Publishing, author, published company that I started, man, and this dude, really supported me in a lot of ways, by bringing his books to me to have them published, touring around the country, man, to promote these books, from New York to Atlanta, Oklahoma, South Carolina. He really put in the time to promote his books, and is still writing to this day. Actually, The Good and the Bad, which was released a few years ago, the trilogy that he has, the second book that we're looking to publish. We're not even looking to publish. He's looking to do some self-publishing and start his own publishing company to have his second book on The Good and the Bad come out. So once again, George Naim Cash, man. Follow him on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check out his music on music streaming services, man. And support this brother. Good dude, personal friend. Next, we have an author and actress, single mom, very talented young lady who's an author, poet, spoken word artist. Her name is Joy Elan from Oakland and Berkeley, California. She received her undergraduate degree in African American Studies at University of California, Berkeley, and her graduate degree in education at Stanford University. She has written several books, which include Signs of Life, Past, Present, and Future. She performs as a spoken word artist in the Bay Area on a regular basis, and she's currently working with urban youth and raising her daughter in the Bay. Her name is Joy Elan, one of my favorite people on the planet, man. If you ever get a chance to check out my TV show, the DJ Gatsby Show, on YouTube, check out the interview, and she'll tell you about the life struggles and trials and tribulations that she went through as a child, and that she had to overcome to get her degrees in African American Studies and go on to get a graduate degree in education at Stanford University, one of the most respected institutions of higher learning in the country. She's also an actress. Her daughter has acted in movies, and she continues to be an outspoken activist against gentrification and other injustices that plague people of color in the Oakland Bay Area. This particular book that I'll be talking about, one of my favorites, one of the first books that I came into when I met her, called Silence is Not Always Golden, A Poetic Revolution. It's a book of poetry. It's a collection of poetry that has defined the norm. She goes on to say the title was inspired by the Black Panther Party's Huey Newton's quote, "You can jail a revolutionary, but you can't jail a revolution." Instead of writing what people want to hear, she says she writes what people need to hear, the truth. Sometimes the truth can be beautiful and sometimes it can be ugly. Her words and her voice are her weapons, and she has to speak up on her beliefs. She goes on to say, other people may not feel as powerful to speak up, so I speak up for them. I cannot sit there and not say anything. I was taught that you cannot do what everyone else wants. You have to do what you want. It's important to be you as an original as there can be, and people will try to put you down because they're different. I say try because only you can let them. There is more to life than making a living and surviving. You must fulfill your purpose by pursuing your dreams, because if you don't, life will pass you by. Very, very powerful statement right there, man. And she sums up the synopsis by saying, "My words are my way of fulfilling my purpose because I am making my dream a reality, and I'm showing you that you can do the same." Again, man, very powerful story. Spoken word arts and poetry is something that people take, kind of lightly. But this young lady right here has a message. She has a point of view, and she shares it, unapologetically to this day. And, if you've checked out the books and the people I featured on my TV show, the Blog Talk radio show, or even my blog on WordPress, Joy Elan is one of the most inspiring people that I've met in this business. And I encourage you, as with all the books, buy, read, and review herself, man. It's available on Amazon, paperback, and Kindle. Please take the time to check her out and her books. And once again, today it's Science Now is Golden, Poetic Revolution by author Joy Elan. Once again, it's DJ Gatsby, man. This is Who's Who in African American Lit show we put together to support our book clubs, specifically DJ Gatsby's Book Club, Books in the Hood, and the multilingual book club that we also are administrators for. The next book that we're going to feature is from an author that has done more for me in my career, my thirst for knowledge and information about African American authors and urban lit. Met him early on when I became a fan and was, found a purpose and a calling to shed some light and bring attention to let people know about the talented writers, the unsung heroes of literature here in America, and that specifically was the African American authors, writers, and publishers. His brother's name is Treasure Blue. A lot of you may have heard of him, maybe not. Very, very talented, articulate, almost eccentric type of author. He writes about things that people don't want to write about. He talks about things that people don't want to talk about. He covers life in a way that it makes you stop and think, has these things ever happened? Could these things happen? And why it's important that authors like Treasure Blue tell these stories. The book we have today, man, is one of our favorite books, man. This cat gave me this book, and basically, I ran with it simply because I had met him at a book signing in Maryland. Him and author Envy Red were there, and we had kind of communicated online, and told me he was going to be in the Maryland area, in the DMV area, and in the DMV area specifically, pumping his books. He was going to be in DC, Maryland, Virginia. He was coming down to hook up with a lot of friends and family that he knew down there, man. DC Book Diva, Elan Williams, and a host of other people. But what he did was invited me out to meet him. Can't think of the name of that bookstore, man, but I came down, we talked, we met, and dude just put me on the game, put me on to understanding, these underground books, man, these hip hop fiction, urban lit, street lit books, man, that were very hard to have them become mainstream, kind of like hip hop music when it first came about. People loved it, but then they hated it, and people believed in it, and then they didn't believe in it. But over time, it became the most popular form of music and entertainment in the world. And that's the same way I feel about urban lit, street lit books, hip hop fiction, urban romance, whatever you want to call it, man. It's just black people writing books about things that black people go through and that black people want to read about. Harlem Girl Lost is the second book in a trilogy. I think Harlem Girl Lost was the first one, and Harlem Girl Lost 2, and can't think of the third book in the trilogy, but Treasure Blue has quite a few books. He's worked with Cash Money Content Publishing Company for a while, did a few books for them. People who don't know that's Cash Money Records has a literary division where they had authors signed and publishing books for their brand. They had a team of authors that were signed to that contract. I think Quan was one of them. Ashley and Jaquavis, Wahida Clark, and Treasure Blue. And dude put me on, man, to those authors. He put me on to the marketing team that was working with Cash Money Content. Put me on to DC Book Diva, Elan Williams, and that whole team down there in DC. And you know, my love for African American literature had an outlet and an opportunity, man, to turn into a business, and provided me the opportunity, man, to travel all over the country, meet authors all over the East Coast and the South, man. And to this day, this dude still rocks with me and put me on in so many ways, man. This particular book, Harlem Girl Lost 2, I said it's the second book in the trilogy, and I'm going to read the synopsis, man. This is Harlem Girl Lost 2, the beginning. He said, and it starts off by saying, what if you could take it all back? It starts off saying Jessica Jones never thought about living her teenage dream would lead to a living nightmare. When she and her three best friends venture out on prom night, they are drunk on young love and excited for their college plans. But a tragic incident turns a night of high school achievement into a crime scene. And Jessica and her girls are left with bloody hands and a shattered future. After spending years paying off a debt that wasn't theirs, Jessica and her friends return to home to find it very different from the way they left it. Crack is now king, and its destruction has left their families in ruin and their neighborhoods consumed by its predators. Jessica takes a stand, and her friends are there to back her up when the demons from the past come breathing down their door. Jessica and the girls must pass the ultimate test in order to preserve their lives, their families, and the Harlem that they love. This book right here is a must-read. Treasure Blue is an author that you must. If you know anything about urban fiction, street lit, or African American authors, or stories from the hood, you need to get up on Treasure Blue. Ask any author, any writer, any publisher, any person who's ever read books in these genres about Treasure Blue, and they'll tell you. If you get a chance, man, go on YouTube and check out my interviews with Treasure Blue. I have an edited version that's about 30 minutes, but there's an uncut version that's also about an hour on there. Well, he just, he just runs down the game in a way that, a 3-year-old could understand it. Tells you about the pitfalls, tells you what to look for, do's and don'ts, and why some people make it in this business and some don't. It's an education, it's a motivational speech. It's a tutorial. And follow him on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, man. You'll be a better reader, author, and or publisher for it. And man, I could talk about my man Treasure Blue. Treasure, you already know what it is. It's going by the name of Stephen Smalls now, so you may see him as Stephen Smalls on social media. This book is from Harlem World Publishing, and check out the other books by Treasure Blue. Once again, you've been watching DJ Gatsby. This is Who's Who in African American Lit. We're supporting DJ Gatsby's Book Club and Books in the Hood. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, man, buy, read, and review the books that we feature on this program. That's how we support African American authors and African American literature in our communities. Till we meet again, till we talk again, it's your man DJ Gatsby, WBMG. All right? Have a great day. Peace. God bless you.